Hello, this is Robert Guillaume. Thank you for joining me on Your Money, Manage It. I will be discussing principles that will empower you to manage your finances made easy. Today we are discussing the importance of having a personal financial budget. Now, perhaps many of you are already familiar with a budget, perhaps through a business, or perhaps you do have a personal budget, and I say kudos to you if that's the case. Just about every business, school, profit or nonprofit organization has a budget. Our nation has a budget. However, our nation never pays any attention to it. And that's why our country is $123 trillion in debt, mostly to foreign countries. So there's an importance of having a budget, and there's an importance with sticking to it. Having a personal financial budget, ladies and gentlemen, I say this with all my heart, in full honesty, may be the most important financial tool for you to have in managing your personal finances. Now, there are several ways that your personal budget can be constructed. You can construct it to reflect your weekly income and expenses, perhaps your monthly or quarterly, or another time frame that would reflect your basic income and expenses. Some budgets are created, as I mentioned, in the short term, such as a month. Some budgets can be created to reflect long term, such as a year, and it's not unreasonable to have both. As a founder and CEO of a multi-million-dollar educational corporation, I had a budget that not only reflected finances for the year, the fiscal year, but it was also broken down month by month. And I will share with you that the corporate finance manager and I, every month, would spend hours dissecting that budget. It is a snapshot of not only where you are, but where you have been and where you are going. It is vital to the success of you personally, financially, and it was vital to the corporation that I ran as CEO. Now, keep in mind, a budget is a living document. What I mean by that is it can be what I would phrase tweaked. It can be altered to reflect changes in finances, such as if you have additional income or you incur additional expenses. So a budget is flexible, and you need to keep that in mind. However, when you build a personal budget, you must do so in realism. Your budget must be realistic, and it must reflect real financial figures, not estimations, not guessing, not tweaking what might be expenditures. You need to use real figures. Here's an example of not tweaking a budget. If you expect a bonus from your company at the end of the year, ladies and gentlemen, that's nice, but that's speculative. And you may say, well, I receive a budget every year. I've gotten one for the past 10 years. I've worked for XYZ company. Well, that's good, but look at America today in 2022. Ask yourself, is that bonus going to be there at the end of the fiscal year, or is it going to be there with the amount that you've been receiving over the past 10 years? You can't count on what is speculative. Do not count that potential bonus as part of your income until you actually receive it. There are other examples I could share, but that's perhaps one of the best as far as building your budget on real figures and not on speculative or guessing what might be. Base your revenue, your income, on your net finances, not your gross. Do not, if you make $40,000 a year, do not put $40,000 down as your income for your budget. Use what is your net income every week, every month, or however you build your budget. Now, you can create a simple budget by using programs such as QuickBooks. You can use your computer and use programs such as Excel or other programs that are out there. Or you can simply build a budget old school with a hard copy ledger. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's like reading a book. Some people read ebooks, and some people like the feel of that hard copy book in their hands when they're lying outside or whatever, reading a book, sitting with a cup of coffee. So perhaps with you, having those figures in a ledger right in front of you is just as easy as using your computer. They're all good tools. The issue is not how you build your budget. The issue is that you have a personal finance budget. As I mentioned, your income should reflect your net income for a specific time period. My personal budget is set up on a monthly basis. I know what my income, my revenue is going to be every month, and I have a listing of what my expenditures are going to be. And I follow my budget to the letter every month. So your budget may reflect not only an income of one individual, it may reflect the income of two individuals. If that's the case, you'll need to remember in building your budget to include not only the two incomes, but all of the expenses that will be connected with that second income and that second individual. Here are some very simple examples of expenses. Your rent or your mortgage payment, what you spend on food. Now, if you do a monthly budget, you estimate, because you do spend more on holidays, Thanksgiving or whatever, or if you have company, on food. But you have a simple idea of what you spend on food every week, and you can extend that to what your food costs would be for the month. Utilities, again, they fluctuate a little because I know you may use more gas or you may use more propane or whatever for your furnace in the winter and less in the summer. You may use more air conditioning in the summer and your heat pump may run less in the winter. But you can have a basic idea that your average utility bill would be, let's just say, $250 a month. You also would know what your average water bill and sewer bill would be. If you have trash pickup every week, you know what that would equate to every month. If you have cable or satellite, you can put that as an expense. Cell phone, as I just mentioned, is an expense. Your credit card payment or payments, if you have more than one credit card, needs to be listed as an expense. Your car loan, if you have one, maybe two. The gasoline that you spend driving to and from work or wherever, you know what you spend every week, perhaps even every month. A good idea. That may fluctuate, but you need to put a figure, a reasonable figure, in your budget for gasoline. Perhaps you're a former student that has a student loan debt. That needs to go into your budget. And then there are personal items that we all have expenditures for, and those too need to go into your budget. Now, in some cases, there are other expenses that you need to consider. You can't just bypass things like child care payments or child support payments. Now, there are some payments that come perhaps quarterly, and you need to adjust for that, either put that into that specific month's um, expenditure pattern, or you can put that in over a year's time, month by month. But things like insurance payments for your home and your auto, mine are based on a quarter. Some people pay them straight out over in a year. Some people pay them every month. But however you pay for auto insurance or home insurance, those need to be included on a timely basis into your personal budget. Do not neglect bills, ladies and gentlemen, that are auto deducted. Here's a cute story concerning that. My son-in-law works for one of the major carriers for cell phones and media and so forth. I'm not going to mention the company, but he works for a major carrier. He's in management. When I received that high cost of my cell phone bill, I gave him a call that night and said, "What has happened here? Is your company doing that? Are you experiencing that? Well, what's going on?" And he said, "I do know that some companies were going to increase the cost of some of their plans. I can tell you that." And he said, "I'm not sure if my plan increased or not because I'm on an auto pay." So I thought, we all have certain things that are on auto pay, and that's all well and good, but you need to keep a close eye on things that in our auto pays that could fluctuate. If your automobile is on auto pay for 3 years, that's going to be what it is for 3 years. You know that. If your mortgage is on auto pay, unless you're on a flexible mortgage, that's going to be fairly consistent. But when it comes to what I just experienced on a cell phone, mine is not on auto pay. I write a check every month. But if it were, it would be till I get a statement or online statement that I found that auto pay has gone up. So do not neglect looking at things in your budget that are auto pays. Your personal financial budget, ladies and gentlemen, it's a roadmap. Following that budget, that roadmap, will allow you to identify your definite needs, and then you can determine if you have the finances for wants. It will allow you to live within your financial means, as we discussed in the last episode. It will provide you the financial reality that will show you what you can and cannot spend. And it will help you to avoid impulse spending that will destroy the smooth flow of your budget. Staying on your personal budget will help you to avoid heavy credit card debt. Perhaps, as I mentioned, the number one most important aspect in managing your personal finances is having a financial personal budget. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll just share that in my book, How to Manage Personal Finances Made Easy, I give a hands-on, detailed, simple example of several budgets that you can plug your own figures into, you can follow, you can work through. They're great examples on how to create and how to build your own personal budget. Thank you for joining me on Your Money, Manage It. My book, How to Manage Personal Finances Made Easy and Avoiding the College Debt Trap, can be found on Amazon and the bookshop. I will also include the link in the description of this episode. Find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and join me again next Monday. Thank you for listening.